now. So feel free, guys, if you want to start. Camera's on. If you guys want to start, Shannon, tell me where you're at.
All right, here's our Shareout one. We did this obviously last week, so we might be a bit rusty.
I got you.
Cool.
So I'm going to start with our challenge definition, and the definition of our challenge was to determine an experimental approach that will allow Cleveland Clinic to research and explore relationships between sex, gender, and glioblastoma. And then some of the background knowledge that we had about glioblastoma is it's a brain-related cancer that forms in the astrocytes in the brain. It's stage 4 astrocytoma. Has a very low survival rate, and it's the most aggressive cancer that can be found in.
All right, here's a bit on what we figured out last week during like we were learning in class a lot of that. So here's some of the terminology we learned: the MGMTP gene. Basically, it encodes for a protein which repairs DNA. Methylation is another term we learned. Basically, it means cells dividing to create more cells. We believe this is really important related to cancer. We also learned about like sex differences, like cancer is a non-reproductive organ, like cancer and non-reproductive organs. Yeah, so like that's sort of the differences in like sex differences, and estrogen can also have effects. Like it can be a catalyst for different types of cancers, like breast cancer and things like that. So yeah.
And going to the well, this is your slide.
Did you want to add something to the last slide?
Yeah, I was gonna say for the MTP gene, like something that like we discussed in class too, was like that potentially it could be like making the cancer cells stronger because it repairs like if you have no variation, like it could be making the cancer cells stronger because it's like regenerating them as your body's trying to destroy them. Because like it doesn't really have any way to distinguish between DNA. So having a variation is beneficial.
To the cancer.
No,
She
to
said,
you.
right, because then it blocks the ability
You're
for it.
more likely to survive.
Yes. And what was the kind of variation that we
Well,
were
when methylation occurs, basically, it doesn't like allow for the same production of the gene.
Yeah, it doesn't allow the thing that produces mRNA,
Yeah.
the RNA polymerase, to run along the gene and code for that because it blocks that process.
Sorry, I'm a little rusty.
I know, we're more
Bit
up to the
rusty,
weeds.
I'm
We're more up
sorry.
to the weeds. It
Yeah.
totally makes sense. We're drinking from a fire hose in terms of all right, love it.
And then given all the stuff we just covered, some of the areas that I'm going to go on next to research are some like the causes of glioblastoma, some examples of experimental approaches that we could base our own like study proposal on, and then data on people with glioblastoma, like specifically in America.
Alright, and so this is some research that like we started on. So the first study that we were looking at was, this is just from reading like a little bit of the methods, a little bit of like skimming through. I haven't spent like 10 minutes on it, so it's not really extensive, but I started reading it a little bit more over the weekend. It's about like T cell exhaustion. I didn't read this one over the weekend actually. I just read it on Friday. So, but it was basically about like immune system reactions, glioblastoma, and basically like that med cells become more tired when fighting glioblastoma, so the response is like weaker. But then I think there was some like specific treatment that invigorated the cells. I don't really fully remember, but I want to do more research into that. And because I thought it could be a pathway to go down.
It's really complicated, so
Yeah,
it makes sense that you haven't had a chance to dive.
Yeah, I just kind of skimmed through the abstract and the results.
Yeah.
And then there was this, we're going into kind of the line between gender and sexuality in glioblastoma. There's this study I found about hormone replacement therapy and the impact of glioblastoma. So there was this transgender woman who developed multiple glioblastomas in the brain, and this patient had a history of hormone replacement therapy, and then basically the scientists theorized in the study that elevated hormone levels caused her to develop gliomas in the brain, and like basically talked a lot about like the potential risks of hormone therapy and the impact that it can have on people because of the like of your body's reaction to testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, and like the change that it has to your cell function. And then
This is like exactly the kind of thing we're trying to figure out.
And then this was just like a little bit about treatment, like the chemotherapy, radiation therapy, and like the impact of different treatment methods on glioblastoma. And it was a pretty short thing, I just kind of read through it. So yeah, that's it, pretty short.
Okay, so some initial research. Who's going to take notes as we talk through this?
I can think.
Alex and Toren, did you guys find specific studies you found were interesting in this process? I heard from Imre a lot there, but I want to make sure I get like, did you guys have a chance to dive into a lot of research yet?
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at this one article I found when I was trying to find like the articles you gave us online, and then I looked up like that article, but a different article popped up.
Interesting.
So it was kind of talking about, it sort of helped me understand the MGM. It just helped me understand the gene more, I guess. Like, I don't know, like, because still it just wasn't making sense in the beginning. So like, I guess that was mainly what I was doing, just kind of, I was kind of just like, just like feel to understand the topic more, because it wasn't like clicking for me as well. So I feel like I just need like extra research with that. So
That's what makes sense.
as well.
Do you have any specific questions about the topic that are still kind of popping up or like points of confusion?
Not really right now, but I probably will, because I don't know, I feel like I need to know like everything about the topic, or else I'm not really satisfied.
That's fair. I will say that it's going to be tough to
It's
know
hard,
everything.
yeah, I know, yeah.
And you guys are going to have to put in some time this week and next week to have that kind of background that you want. But if you could, Toren, if you could go back to the case study, the second one. So this is like a really great point of like the beginning of thinking about like what direction you guys could go. We talked about cells today, and the whole thing with cells is like, how do we, measure some sort of effect? How do we figure out the mechanism that's occurring? In this is looking at patients, which is super cool, and there's a way you can think about patients. We haven't even really read mice study, though I know that Imre, you have some pretty clear and understandable ethical concerns with mice or animal research. Is there a general direction right now you guys are kind of feeling like? Do you feel like you'd want to explore more patient research as an approach? Do you feel like cells are a place where you could like figure out more direct control, or have something that feels very ethical? What kind of like broader considerations do you guys have around the type of study you might want to explore?
I feel like they both have their benefits, as we're
I think we have to
talking before.
discuss a little bit more.
Like, because, obviously the cells are gonna be good, but you don't know how they're gonna act inside of like a living organism, like, as well, which you kind of talked about. I guess, like, it depends on, like, what exact route we're gonna take to see if it's gonna be like an ethical study or not. Like,
And also, like what route we want to take with the study design, like certain structures won't work for like certain pathways. So, I mean, I think, yeah, we have to kind of discuss that a little bit more. That's something that we haven't focused on as much. Honestly, like, most of the time that we spent on like Friday was just, like regarding this was just discussing like the background, frankly.
Trying to get like your ground.
foundation.
That's fine. I don't expect you guys to have an answer that's like 100% to that question all right now. And I love you, that was a great point, that now is the moment to start talking about that. You don't need a thing right now. I would love Shareout 2 to have a direction. That's the big thing.
When is Shareout 2?
Shareout 2 is Friday at like 10:45. We're going to start our Shareouts. So you have a little bit of team time at the beginning of Friday too. But I would definitely, and if there are any questions you have about the kind of techniques that Dr. Lathia's lab already does, that's part of what we've been talking about
I
tomorrow.
thought the study was really interesting because, well, again, I didn't like fully read, like I wasn't going through reading every single word, I was kind of skimming through all of these, but like, I thought that this could potentially be like a really good pathway for us, because, I mean, at least, I don't know how much evidence they had, but the doctors strongly believed that hormone replacement therapy was the direct cause of the glioblastoma developing. Now, I don't know how credible these doctors were, and like, I'm gonna do a little bit more research into that, but.
Well, I mean, I think we should assume the doctors are going off of whatever information you have, which is we know is limited.
Yeah.
So then I guess the question would be, Imre, like, this is a great way to bring up and to say, well, like, let's try to figure out how we can find that out. That is one potential direction you can kind of go in. Like, I don't think the doctors are bad doctors.
No, I don't think they're just making everything up, but I do think, I thought that, especially at the conclusion, was a little bit, I don't know, it was very anti-hormone replacement therapy, so
Interesting.
I just don't know.
Yeah, these doctors may have been unintentionally biased against this.
So I would like to look a little bit more into legitimacy. Also, the previous study, the like T-cell exhaustion, I don't know. I didn't fully understand that, but
Yeah, that's one where if you start diving into the actual study, if you're looking up terms, trying to figure things out, please talk to me as I'm wandering around during team time to get specifics on something like that, because that is looking at like the immune cells are killing cancer cells all the time in our body. If a cancer cell emerges, one of the first things that can happen is an immune cell, a T cell usually, which is like the real targeted response cell of the immune system. They will come along and just absorb and destroy that cell. And so if there's an issue with T cells in men that they're trying to figure out, it would make them less capable of fighting.
yeah, well, that's what it was talking about. Like, but there was some treatment that that men responded to better than women that kind of made their cells more active in fighting glioblastoma.
I would assume just from reading just this, that there's something with the inhibitory molecules, that there's some molecule that like binds their T cell and makes it do less, and so they're like, well, can we block that molecule in some way?
But I would say, for me, at least, like, in terms of what I was thinking, I mean, obviously we've done pretty limited research, just like the articles that you had us read and like the things that we've been looking at. But I would say that these are like two potential pathways to it, for me at least, that I've been like.
I would say now is the moment where you guys are going to have to do a lot of individual research. I'm not going to give any more papers to read. I was just trying to give you guys some bigger structures to kind of think about in terms of study design and talk to the class. But now is the moment where you are all going to have to be
it's kind of
a lot.
challenging because it's not like last week of soccer, so I have like 3 games this week in credit week, so it's like
He's up playoffs too.
yeah.
I hear you, Imre. I'm sure you guys are trying to kind of find when. So that's another thing to talk about and try to communicate on is how can you break this up? And maybe different people can do different tasks so that you're able to accomplish. Because this whole challenge is there is no student who could accomplish this alone. It is just like not a thing that a single person could do in 4 weeks. So is there a way that you guys can communicate with each other on breaking apart the different aspects of how you're going to respond to it so that you can all work together more efficiently? I think I want to give you guys time to do this. So for the last like 20 minutes of class or so, like try to come with a plan of how you guys are going to approach this, and be honest. Like if it's soccer week, it's credit week, it's all this stuff. Like talk about your limitations and try to figure out how you're going to be able to work together to overcome them in the amount of time you have. And if you have questions about stuff coming up, check the calendar that's on the Canvas page. It's like right at the top of the new challenge. They'll say like challenge calendar or something like that. And that should give you a clear sense of like what is happening when, because it's hard to keep track of everything like that.
Okay. And quick question.
Yeah.
So do you have like, you can like give me like a small like to-do list of what you think we should have by Shareout 2?
By Shareout 2, I want you guys to have a clear direction Like, when I say direction, I don't mean a study plan, I mean like, a sense of if you want to do or propose something humans versus cell versus animal, that are probably not gonna be animal, in a direction of like, what kind of part of this do you wanna look at, right? Like, T cells are a whole other thing from like MGMT, or maybe they're not, but that's, as far as we know, they're two different mechanisms that you might explore. So if there's one of those type of things that starts to emerge where you're like, I really want to pursue stuff in T cell, I really want to pursue more of this testosterone stuff, what is the actual mechanisms that are affecting this? All of that is what I want to sense is like, what general topics are you wanting to look at, and what type of research would you be interested in maybe proposing? And I can help you guys kind of start to narrow from there, and then the whole last stretch is just tightening everything up for Shareout 3, which is like a first draft essentially of what you guys are going to propose.
Yeah, makes sense, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Any other questions? All right, what you guys keep
Thank
going
you very
about it.
much.
Excited to see Shareout 2.
Yeah, I think